This is the scandal over the Heritage Foundation. Kevin Roberts got himself into some serious trouble this week.
But today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned.
I think that if they're that concerned with Nick Fuentes, then you know what they should do is stop talking about him.
Leadership requires owning the moments where we fall short. My use of the phrase venomous coalition was a terrible choice of words. It caused justified concern, especially among friends and allies who know how seriously Heritage has fought and continues to fight against the rise of anti-Semitism.
What I heard was that he was apologizing for using that phrase, not that he was apologizing for his position or that he was apologizing for anything else.
I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him.
I do not believe the mob with pitchforks and torches in hand get to determine.
By the way, my name is Joe McClane. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below.
This is the scandal over the Heritage Foundation. Now, Kevin Roberts got himself into some serious trouble this week. And I want to give you the backstory, and I want to play at least some of this clip for you. But I want to tell you something. I've known Kevin Roberts for years. In 2012, I worked with Kevin Roberts in Louisiana. He was a headmaster of a Catholic school, the John Paul II school there in Lafayette, Louisiana. It was a great school. Solid Catholic man, and he was doing a great job teaching the Orthodox Catholic faith. I enjoyed working with him. We were putting on a conference there. We held a conference. The organization I was working for at the time, we were holding a conference with Scott Hahn and Brian Petrie and Michael Barber and Father Champagne in Lafayette, Louisiana at the Hilton Hotel. It was a great conference. It was amazing. And Kevin Roberts helped us to promote that and get the word out amongst the families and the parents at the school. He was a wonderful guy to talk to and work with. And when he became the president of the Heritage Foundation, I actually interviewed him right after that and had him on my show back in those days. And it was enjoyable to watch. But you might remember recently Tucker Carlson had an interview with Nick Fuentes, the infamous Nick Fuentes, who I don't watch or listen to, just so you know. But Nick Fuentes, which is a hot brand, and got Tucker Carlson in a lot of trouble with MAGA Nation. They didn't like that he interviewed Nick Fuentes because of the whole Zionist issue. So I'm going to play for you Kevin Roberts' initial response to the pressure that was starting to mount against the Heritage Foundation to cancel Tucker Carlson. Have a listen to this.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington.
Okay, so right away we have to ask the big question, why does he hate Jews? Right? Clearly, that's what he's communicated, is he's clearly anti-Semitic, but it goes on.
The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation.
Okay, you can watch the rest of it. I can put links to it if you want to, but you probably have already seen it. I mean, it's a solid statement, right? I think it's very solid, very reasonable, very balanced, not bombastic in any way, shape, or form. It's a solid response. Well, pressure mounted. There was an internal rebellion within the organization. And as a result of that, he's now have to apologize.
I want to speak plainly, both as president of the Heritage Foundation and also as an American who understands.
An American who no longer has his American pen on. I just want to just point that out right there. Like, where's your pen, Kevin?
The urgency of this moment. Leadership requires owning the moments where we fall short, then using them to reset, refocus, and recommit. I talked about this today, as you may have seen, during our Heritage All-Staff Town Hall. I'm so grateful for my amazing colleagues. My use of the phrase venomous coalition was a terrible choice of words. It caused justified concern, especially among friends and allies who know how seriously Heritage has fought and continues to fight against the rise of anti-Semitism. Everyone has the responsibility to speak up against the scourge of anti-Semitism, no matter the messenger.
Didn't you say in this video, though, that anti-Semitism was wrong? Yeah, you did. You did. Yep. You said that in this video as well. So what's changed between that and this? It's the battle within the conservative movement against people who aren't on the team for Israel at all costs. Now I want to play Megyn Kelly's clip, and this will be the last one. I want to get everybody's take on this. But Megyn Kelly confronted Tucker Carlson and about his conversation with Nick Fuentes. I want you to have a listen to this.
Nick Fuentes has said a long list of very vile things.
Big time, including attacking my dad, which was the most vile of all, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I personally have watched videos of him questioning the Holocaust, likening it to baking cookies in the oven, and there's no way you could have gotten to 6 million, seems to be his theory. He seems to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms, which I mean, so what do you say to those people? Say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you. I got the same thing with Putin. Why aren't you yelling at him? Okay, why? So I can show that I'm a good person? I care about what my wife thinks, my children think, and God thinks, and that's it. I don't need to prove that I'm a good person to you. You may think I'm a terrible person. Okay, I'm just doing my thing, which is I want to understand what people think. And I'm committed to that. And if you don't like it, don't watch. That's my...
If you don't like it, don't watch. I loved it. Tucker Carlson. So what do you think? What are your responses? Let's start with Dr. Stein. What do you think about all that?
I think that if they're that concerned with Nicholas Fuentes, then you know what they should do is stop talking about him. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
They're driving people to be curious about what it is he's saying, so they go find what he's saying. I discovered him years ago, before he was known to people, and I didn't find him that compelling, especially when he opened his mouth about Catholicism and said he doesn't pray the rosary, recommends the KJV Bible, and thinks traditional Catholics are LARPing. I didn't find him that compelling, so I stopped paying attention to him.
Yeah.
We as Catholics have this thing where we love to do, not all of us, but many of us love to do, where we take public figures and say, you know, he was Catholic, right? Or historical figures are my favorite ones. George Washington got a full free Masonic funeral, all the rites, very public and everything they did. He was a crypto Catholic, so he had a statue of the Virgin Mary, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So there's no evidence for it other than having a statue. He had good art taste.
Painting.
Great.
Yeah.
You know?
Was it a
A painting. Okay.
Painting.
Yeah.
Wow.
We do this a lot. We really got to stop.
Yeah.
But we like to say that certain public figures were Catholic, and the only reason I think that Charlie Kirk might actually have been Catholic, because he was the most recent example, is because I know people in Arizona who knew him, who were Catholic, and said that he was becoming Catholic in the process. That's the only reason I believe it, because I know people who knew him. Otherwise, we got to stop with this. You know, what's going to be next? You know, Donald Trump 10 years from now goes to his judgment. You know, he actually secretly became Catholic. You know, Father Ripperger, he was the one who baptized him and welcomed into the Catholic Church in a secret ceremony. I'm predicting that's what's going to happen in 10 years. Jake knows I'm right.
Yes.
Don't give Grok any ideas.
I love George Washington, but the story of his alleged conversion thing, it's like none of it holds any water. Like it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And I still admire him. I admire lots of things about. And
every one of us are going to get emails today saying we were wrong on this.
I know.
About we'll send us articles and all sorts of stuff. Read them all. There's no evidence. There's just none.
Yeah.
And I'd love it to be true. I'd love it if the founder of the United States was a crypto Catholic, but the United States of America was not founded on crypto Catholic values.
No,
they read the same stuff Aquinas did. Doesn't mean they read Aquinas.
Yeah.
If you were, a literate person in the 18th, right. If you were a literate person in the 18th century, you read Aristotle. That's just kind of how it went,
But going back to Kevin Roberts here, just in this example of Tucker Carlson, what do you? Like, I think Kevin Roberts is a good man. I think the pressure, I've experienced this pressure on a small scale. These guys must be experiencing it on a massive scale. The pressure within their organizations, because this is the problem when a Catholic runs a conservative organization that's not tied to either the Catholic Church or some flavor of Christianity that's out there or whatever. So it's like when they're in these default non-religious organizations, like they feel like their ability to bring their faith to the table becomes minimized. And I think in that first video, he was expressing a Catholic fundamental idea here. And in the second video, he is clearly reacting to the giant pressure that was levied against him by donors, by internal staff, et cetera, et cetera. Get on the team. That is, I think, one of the raging debates within the conservative movement right now is on Zionism.
So,
well, here's the other thing.
I heard.
How many of you have gotten emails asking you, why don't you address the JQ? I get those all the time.
I do.
It has nothing to do with my work, really.
I address.
I affirm what the church has always said on the question. Everybody needs to come to Christ. Full stop. Next question.
Period. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry that I interrupted you, Michael, but
go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, in listening to the two video clips that you posted, what I heard, obviously maybe there's something else to it, but in his apology, the second video, it sounded like what he was apologizing for was using a particular phrase with regards to the people that were criticizing him in the Heritage Foundation and Tucker Carlson. And he referred to them as vipers, venomous.
Coalition of vipers.
Yeah, coalition of vipers. Okay, so it sounds like he didn't really apologize for, I mean, maybe there was more to it, but what I heard was that he was apologizing for using that phrase, not that he was apologizing for his position or that he was apologizing for anything else, but just that.
Yeah, I didn't play it all. He goes on. He's announced, because the first thing he did was he gave a speech to the staff. And then he put out that video that I played after he gave the speech to the staff. So you can actually go watch the speech to the staff, and it gives even more details. Long story short, Kevin invited a Jewish friend who lives in Washington, D.C. or someplace to fly in and spend time with him personally to help him better understand the errors of his ways and help him to be much more attuned to the anti-Semitic issues on social media or conversations or whatever, and especially to really correct his friend Tucker Carlson.
It sounds like he got the call, basically, from some really well-funded international lobbying group.
He got the call. Yeah, 100%. What do you think of Tucker's response to Megyn Kelly, though? When he says, when people criticize him for having a conversation, I mean, like even one of our insiders, I forget, who was it that said this a second ago? Forgive me, I missed it. But, it was our good friend Mary Full of Grace says, why did Tucker Carlson challenge Nick Fuentes his own interview? Or why didn't Tucker Carlson challenge him? So Tucker Carlson could have played devil's advocate in the conversation and challenged him or whatever just to get a response. But what do you think of Tucker's general response to cancel culture, mob justice on the internet?
I thought it was perfect. I mean, the fact of the matter is that he simply said, if you don't like my show, don't watch. He's his own boss. He's establishing his own program with his own ideas and his own mode of doing things and his own questions. And, he wants to have an interesting show with interesting questions, and he kind of keeps it on a more human level while they're discussing interesting topics. And I suspect that the certain questions that other people want to ask, maybe they're obvious questions, I don't know, I suspect that he doesn't find them compelling. He doesn't think that it makes for an interesting conversation, which is why he doesn't go there.
Right.
Again, if you don't like his show, don't watch it. If you don't like my show, don't watch it. If you don't like what I have to say, don't listen to me. It's just, there's a certain point where we as people in the media or just individuals having a conversation, if you don't want to be my friend, don't be my friend. Maybe it'll hurt in the moment, but it's okay. Yeah. We don't have to be friends. And that's really kind of the bottom line. But what people are doing now in coming together and saying, well, we need to get this guy canceled from this event or get him canceled from that event. If you don't like the event, don't go. It's that simple.
Right.
The reason they're trying to get them canceled, though, is because they don't like the message and they don't like the philosophy that they're putting forward. And to a certain extent, I might agree with that. I think that things like the Democratic Socialists of America, I think that organization should be shut down as a quasi-terrorist organization, and seditionists, because they are. I think that certain elements of the liberal agenda, such as the push for abortion, I think that the push for trans ideologies ought to be made illegal. I think that it is an ideology that is inimical to the human condition. And because of that, you can have a certain extent of latitude to say these ideas don't have a place in the public square. But if you don't like somebody because they're just kind of, not asking the tough questions and therefore they should be canceled from an event, that's ridiculous. That's absurd.
I want to bring this into the Catholic world because this happened to me recently last weekend. But, I guess it was Lila Rose had interviewed somebody and this guy said some crazy things that were scandalous. I didn't watch the interview. I don't watch Lila Rose. I'm not interested in her content, so I don't watch it. I just keep moving. And if I had $1 for every time I was offended by something that was said on the internet, man, I'd be as rich as Tragic Burton. I'd be wearing tweed every day. Like, that's just not a thing, right? So I just vote with my feet and I keep moving. But so people were calling for EWTN to delete the show. And I'm like, that's a bridge too far. I'm sorry. I don't watch your stuff. I'm not interested. And it probably was scandalous and I wouldn't agree with it. I also don't like it. But I do not believe the mob with pitchforks and torches in hand get to determine who a content creator talks to and what stays and what goes. I think that principle is dangerous. It's like, I guess, similarly, the old, Donald Trump wanting to get rid of the filibuster thing. If like we get rid of the filibuster, then we can get stuff done. True, but that pendulum swings both ways. And you're not going to like it when the other team has the ball. Again, that's kind of how I felt about this. It's like, I don't have to like Tucker Carlson. I can just keep scrolling. I don't have to listen to him. I don't like Nick Fuentes and I don't listen to him. I just keep scrolling. And here's my thing is like, we all get a say. I get to have an opinion. You get to have an opinion. My audience gets to have an opinion and they get to tell me when they don't like it, when they don't like my opinion. That's fair, in my opinion. Like how do you do that? You leave a comment on the video. You do a podcast on your channel lambasting what I've talked about. Fair enough. I think that's fair game. You get to write letters and emails to me, no problem. But do you get to decide who I talk to and what I delete and what I keep? No, you don't get to decide that. Now, Lila could decide that. It's her content. If she felt, you know what, I went too far and she deleted it, I'd be all right with that. And hats off to her if she does. I don't think she does, but whatever. Like this principle that the mob can show up with pitchforks and lanterns and demand that these content creators do what they want, I think is a bad idea. What would you say to that, Dr. Stein?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by insane things in my comments.
It's okay. No worries. That's all right.
Now you know how I feel producing this show every day.
No.
There you go. Everybody's got an opinion, even Tragic Burton.
Distracted by insane comments. That's every day.
C New 10 says,
That's
Joe,
me
start
every day.
liking Nick Fuentes or else. Oh, boy. Delete my show. Yeah, there you go.
Start a poll, and Joe has to abide by the results of the poll.
I have to abide by the results.
Yeah, democracy.
My favorite myth being promulgated by people that I know who should know better is that because a lot of young men listen to him, the future is lost unless the GOP align themselves. And then they point to those last Tuesday's election. Do you know why right-leaning independents stayed home? It wasn't Nick Fuentes. It was kitchen table issues. It's always the same thing. When the politicians and the GOP are very good at this, when they aren't aligned with the voting public on basic issues, the right-leaning independents will stay home. It happens every single time. And if you need a good example of this, just this week, the Senate Majority Leader was like, no, we're not going to end the filibuster and end this government shutdown. He could have reinstated the filibuster. You don't need to end the filibuster. You need to reestablish it, because there hasn't been a filibuster since they went to a procedural filibuster. An actual filibuster is where a senator or a group of senators take turns standing there telling the American public on the record why we should, in this case, use taxpayer dollars to fund transgender mutilation surgeries and why illegal immigrants should get your health care. The American public is, you might expect, 90-10 on this issue against it. The simple way to have turned this around was to abolish the procedural filibuster and put the old-fashioned kind back in. Make, Mr. Schumer go to Washington in this case and tell the American public why they need to do the extraordinarily unpopular thing. The GOP are run by a large crowd of smooth-talking imbeciles who couldn't, they couldn't policy their way out of a paper bag if their lives depended on it. And that's the problem. If they took care of that problem, you wouldn't have to worry about the Nick Fuenteses of the world, because, a lot of people are tired of the American relationship with Israel. It's a wide bipartisan issue. But the number one issues always are the kitchen table issues, whether you have the ability to feed your family, whether the grocery stores are too expensive or fuel is too expensive or whatever the economic issue of the day is, whether you've got a job or not. And then after that comes the foreign policy stuff. And a lot of us, myself included, have a lot of questions about our relationship with Israel. But I'm not going to sit there and engage in weird theories about number crunching from World War II and all sorts of other weird stuff. And I would hope that young people eventually they kind of get over that stuff. It's a strange temptation to go down that road. It really is, because you lose sight of reality when you do that. Not saying that there aren't some weird things with the stories from World War II. I'm just saying, everyday life, your politicians are much more interested in who writes them checks and who they can write checks for.
Oh man, I'm reading these.
They get distracted by
These comments are making me laugh. I'm sorry. Lost Creole, what are you doing to me, man? You're going to get me canceled here. It says ACT, anti-Semitic Catholic team. Yikes! We're not anti-Semitic. We're anti-Zionist. There's a difference. We love Jews. We want them to become Christians.
Yep.
That's how much we love them.
The most anti-Semitic thing you could do would be, hey, there's this, Jewish people don't need the gospel.
They need
That's
the
most
gospel.
anti-Semitic.
Just like I need the gospel.
Imagine saying this thing. That is because Jesus said he is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. Full stop. He didn't say, and he said that. What ethnic group was he saying that to?
Yeah.
He wasn't saying that to some, German monk. Okay.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.